Okay, so today we're going to be playing a few decks recommended by Yeoman5 on Twitter. In his opinion, Cycling is the best deck to play this weekend because the standard meta has sort of forgotten about it, and it's a linear game plan that's not so easy to interact with unless decks are specifically tech to do it already. And cards like Elspeth's Nightmare just aren't being played in the format anymore. So this is the kind of deck that kind of ebbs and flows. It puts up a good result every few weeks, and then everyone respects it for a week, and then it goes away and comes back again a few weeks later, and so on. And the hope is that this week is the week that it crests the top. But it's a bog standard cycling list, just straight Jeskai. And let's see how it goes. I absolutely torpedoed my rank after getting pretty high up in Mythic. The meta in Historic just seemed to shift overnight, and I couldn't buy a win. And then after I got frustrated, I spewed off a bunch more rank. So we've sort of thrown away all the gains that we had before. But that's why we're here now, to get it all back. So, opponent chose Yorion, probably Sultai, which is exactly the kind of deck that we're trying to beat here. And I think we're just happy to cycle on one. Let's get this down on white, because we probably do want to cast the Valiant Rescuer. Yeah, hey, Dead Zone. Cycling indeed. Interested to see how this goes. So the question now is, do we even bother playing the Rescuer, knowing that it's unlikely to live and get any value? I don't think so. I think we play it next turn when we're likely to get something off of it. So with that in mind, let's just play this on the red that we'll eventually need for Zenith Flare. June's number 1 was rocking Temur Luca most of the time. Yeah, so Temur Luca is the other list that we're going to play today. Before I just get into playing whatever the hell I feel like to try to get this rank back. Okay, so opponent opponent buys Luris. Let's just keep going. Maybe there's a world where we eventually cast Moon of the Wishgiver. Alright. So this plays right into... In game 1, this plays right into a sweeper that they're pretty likely to have in their hand. So I think instead I'm just going to get the Stinger down. Force him to answer it. And we can cycle in response. Pretend we have Mystical Dispute or something for whatever it's worth. Okay, now opponent foretells for real this time. We did hit our land, which is pretty great. We did need that. So let's start with an attack, because we would rather the Pyromancer live. We are short on Zenith Flare. We're going to need to find one. And we don't have that many cycling cards in the bin either. This is on our second draw each turn, right? Yeah, so we need to do this now. And Fox is a little too late, so I think now we just need to dig for Zenith Flare as quickly as we possibly can. Opponent does not have Ultimatum mana, but Epiphany means that they're probably about to cast it. And there's not a whole lot we can do. No, they're missing black. So just a Yorion. There's some small chance that they can cast their ultimatum and we win the following turn with Zenith Flare, but we do need badly to find land. These Valiant Rescuers cycling for 2 really cramps our style. I don't think getting the Flourishing Fox down matters. Guess we'll cycle the start on development first. We want to make sure that we can cycle 2 cards next turn as well. Or on the opponent's turn. We really need to find a land, though. We have 3 things that cycle for 1. Okay, so we can take one more crack at finding the land. No such luck. So next turn, on their turn, we'll be able to cycle for 2, do 2 to face, plus 3 from the Pyromancer. Maybe we get there. Okay. Okay, so they have the ultimatum. Let's see what they fetch. They need to fetch some way to deal with our board, I think. So yeah, if you're not following Yeoman 5 on Twitter, and you're interested in competitive standard at all, definitely do it. And subscribe to his newsletter, because that's where I got this list from. And it also comes with a nice sideboard guide for all the relevant matchups. I should have been subscribed to the newsletter a lot sooner. All right, so interesting. So if we let them have the Shadow's Verdict, can we win? If we let them have the Shadow's Verdict, then we do 2, 5 to face. We need to do 3 more. It's not impossible. They'll wipe up their own birds. If we give him the Epiphany, is there any chance in hell that we win? I don't think so. And the Vorplex is just whatever. Okay. So we'll let them cast the Shadow's Verdict. If we gamble with Epiphany? I don't know, like if we rip Zenith Flare off the top, then we win. If we rip another Stinger off the top, then we win. If we rip another Pyromancer off the top, then we win. I mean, there's a lot of good draws. Just put back Shadow's Verdict. Yeah, that is what I did. Oh, just put back Shadow's Verdict till we have lethal if we untap? Well, we're not going to untap. Like, and if they have a kill spell in their hand, then no. I strongly feel that this is the right play. We have so many draws at just getting another Stinger or Pyromancer or Zenith Flare, and they all win the game on the spot. Still need to find another one. Can't quite do it, can we? And now we're just dead. Now there's nothing. But I still think that was the right play. Should have cycled the Fox because the Shadow's Verdict exiled it. That's fair, although there's no card that we can draw in our untap step that makes that matter. Like, either we have lethal overwhelmingly, or we're dead. But you're right. So interestingly, the sideboard guide versus Sultai says not to bring in Mystical Dispute. Because the biggest threats are Sweepers and Gargaroth, which Dispute doesn't deal with, which I guess is kind of fair. It does say to bring in 2 copies of Stroke and 2 copies of Negate to cut all 4 Pyromancers, which makes sense, and to cut a Shredded Sails, which also makes sense. And to bring in a Burning Hands, because presumably because that deals with the Gargaroth, and there's nothing better. All right. It's possible I pulled the CGB and just don't have the relevant card in my deck. We played Rogues without Drown of the Lock earlier today. Maybe I'm playing without Zenith Flare. Probable Alliance is probably a pretty difficult one for them to deal with. We don't have a lot of Cyclers, but I think this hand's pretty fine. So we'll play this on red, because we know we only want one white. Ran a Stinger, and there's Zenith Flare. So I think I'm down to just get the Improbable Alliance down, for the same reason as last game. If we play the Stinger on 2 and they kill it, we don't get anything off of it. It's possible we don't even play it next turn at all. We are down to one Cycler, but I think that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Yeah, we're just gonna play it now. Now that we made that, now that we drew the Footwall Crater. Alright. So we do have the Zenith Flare, which is great, because if the opponent taps out for Ultimatum, we're very likely to just be able to go upstairs for the win. Valky is going to miss. They do know that we have the Zenith Flare now. That kind of sucks, but okay. So how greedy do we be here? Do we play the second Improbable Alliance and hope that we can draw a land off the top with one of these cycling cards? How much does an extra 1/1 really mean in the grand scheme of things? Probably a lot, right? Like, if they played the Valky, it's likely that they don't. They're not planning on playing a sweeper. Alright, I'll play the second Alliance here. It's probably difficult for them to deal with. They're tapped out. Let's do the thing that is vulnerable to counterspells first. And hope we rip land off the top here. Matchup's supposed to be good, but we're just not really finding what we need here yet. That said, we've spent like 6 mana on things that didn't cycle. So, maybe I'm misplaying it. Only 2 decks for today. Only 2 decks officially listed, but I'm going to keep playing after the 2 decks are done. Because I want to rank up before the end of the season. We are never in a million years blocking that. Yeah, I'm definitely planning on grinding up to numbers. So I think I want to cycle this and dig for land now. Just can't find it. I don't want to play the Stinger into a possible sweeper. I know I said it was likely they didn't have it, but that was like 3 or 4 turns ago now. So let's just cycle 2 things on their turn and make a 1/1. Or maybe we can cycle 2 things like now and try to find land. I'm not sure which is better. If they are a weirdo that's playing Elspeth's Nightmare, then we would rather wait, I guess. Probably doesn't matter then. Nah, let's find land. Just can't do it. Alright. So we're on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards with cycling in the graveyard. Oh yeah, Zenith Flare will just tell me. So not quite there yet. Certainly getting close. Opponent can ultimatum next turn, but that is probably too late. Oh, well. Okay. In that case, it's probably not too late anymore. We are not blocking. Found the land, which is pretty sweet. The most flexible play here is to cycle Go for Blood, right? Okay. So we just play one of these? We can't cycle two things on their turn. Probably what matters most is having outs to Zenith Flare, right? Like to draw Zenith Flare. But these things cycle for so much anyway that they don't really represent extra outs. It does represent a counterspell, but I think I'd rather just present lethal. I guess we're not presenting lethal, it's not quite lethal, but... Did I want to review J21? That's what they're calling... Wow. What a monster. This is the whole reason we're playing Cycling, because almost none of these Sultai lists are playing this card. So J21, I guess, is the new Historic Archive? Or Jumpstart? Yeah, maybe we can do that later. We'll see how I feel. I might get burned out of playing Magic if my beats keep being so bad. Yeah, that's a fine tap. Oh boy. I guess there's no point setting stops because Elspeth's Nightmare is just going to reveal that we've got nothing anyway. And we basically... It's not over. But if our graveyard gets exiled and they somehow deal with our board... Okay. Did you miss anything? All I said was that, it depends, whether I'll review the Historic Jumpstart... Oh, yes. Whether I'll review the Historic Jumpstart, depends on... how my beats go. So we have an interesting choice here. Opponent just got to look at our hand. So, I don't think we cast it now, right? If we cast it into a counterspell, that's kind of disastrous. They need to do something about our board. But they're gonna reveal our hand and take it next turn anyway. So I guess... we do this on their upkeep. Yeah, I mean, that was going to happen no matter what. It's not quite GG. We do have enough attackers on the board to get through. So they have to actually have something. But there goes our Zenith Flare, there goes our graveyard. So these fairies are going to have to go coast to coast. Well, they can't have Ultimatum, because we did this on their upkeep. They can't cast Ultimatum here. So it's got to be a sweeper. Or multiple, like, single target kill spells. That'll do it, too. Got him. That's why you do it on their upkeep. Like, there's a real chance that that there was a dead Ultimatum in their hand there. Okay. Not the most convincing win. And I think them bringing in Elspeth's Nightmare, or maybe having them from the beginning, is the difference between this being a good matchup and a bad one. I think this card just completely swings it. So it's a little unfortunate that we ran into the one Madman who's got it still. But we will keep trying. I think we can keep this. Valiant Rescuer has the upside of dodging Nightmare as well. So we have an interesting choice here, right? We can either play our island and try to cycle for an untapped land, or we can guarantee having a turn 2 play, which I think I like more. Now the question is, which turn 2 play do I like more? Is it the Rescuer or the Alliance? And I think it'll depend on what our opponent shows us, because we badly don't want to get the Alliance hit by, like, Mystical Dispute or something here, right? But it's more likely, I think, that they have a kill spell than it is that they have Dispute. So I think I'm just going to cast the Alliance here. Yeah. Haven, alright. And now we try to draw land. Did it. So we can either play another Alliance, or we can cycle twice on their turn and make one more fairy. Because it's not just the extra fairy, right? It's also getting 2 cards deeper in the deck for to find a Zenith Flare, which is like the only relevant card. But I still think I like having the second Alliance here. They've got, yeah, they have a kill spell here. So I don't know. Maybe they'll kill our fairy, but them having the kill spell is one of the reasons not to play the Rescuer there. Next turn we can play the Rescuer and then cycle. The long game matters as much, like, whether the long game matters depends on how effectively our opponent is able to ramp. They're already on 5 mana. If they get to 7 and cast Ultimatum, like, this is awful. It does make our play easier. So this is gonna die. But we will get a board presence out of it. That's a good draw. That's probably what they'll take with the Nightmare, unfortunately. And now we just dig as deep as we possibly can for Nightmare. Or for Zenith Flare? No, it doesn't matter, because Nightmare is going to kill off our Zenith Flare. So we need a counterspell, basically. And there's not many in the deck. We need Negate or Disdainful Stroke, which we are 6% to draw. Opponent is so far missing second blue. Which means they can't even cast Yorion, actually. So given that this Nightmare is going to take away... Given that this Nightmare is going to take away our graveyard, I think I'm down to Valiant Rescuer here. Play this on blue. Attack out. And we'll cycle twice on their turn once the Nightmare goes off. Actually, probably even on their end step, to play around like a sweeper. I don't have BTTV. No. I don't know how to set that up. Alright, so they did find the ultimatum. So I don't think we can realistically win here. That Nightmare is killer. So how much damage are we doing next turn? We're going to make 2 1/1s from the rescue. We're going to make 2 1/1s from the alliance. So that's 4 damage in addition to 3, so 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll have 2 cards in the bin. We'll at most get to cycle once on top of that for Zenith Flare. So Zenith Flare will only do 3. I think we're dead. Easy as setting up Nightbot. Yeah, and look how that turned out for me. But I'll work on setting that up. Well, let's see what they fetch first. Given that they're on 2 cards in hand, it might be okay to give them the extra turn. Yeah, these are good choices. Let's probably put back Kiora, realistically. If we put back the Epiphany, then they get 2 chapters out of Kiora and we can't attack. This way they get 2 turns with Vorinclex. They get some 1/1s, so our stuff isn't getting through anyway. So if we let them have Kioribus the Sea God, then they'll do 6 with Vorinclex and then 14 the following turn, which is lethal exactly. And I don't think we can kill them next turn, so we can't give them these 2 things. I think we have to put back Kiora. I guess we could chump the 8/8 with the 1/1. Yeah. I still think this is okay. That's not a good sign. So if they have another Epiphany, we're dead. We're dead to a lot. So this is Yorion? Maybe we can beat Yorion. I don't know if we can beat Careful Taps Yorion. I don't know what this represents. But, wow. Man, this deck was ready for cycling. So they're swinging for 10, we can block 4 of it, and we just need to... So we need to have 3 blockers back in the air, and 1 on the ground at least. There's some chance that we can Flourishing Fox into a second Cycler on their turn, to make more tokens with the pathway. I think we just get in with these as well. So the other thing is, like, if we block Vorinclex and then they have a kill spell for what we block it with, then that's disaster. But we can at least represent Zenith Flare here. For whatever good it does, we have one card in the bin. What did they target? They targeted the Valiant Rescuer? Alright, so now's the time. Don't Zenith Flare me? Or, don't, Shadow Sword with me? If they had Shadow Sword, they wouldn't target the Rescuer, right? They would target the Improbable Alliance, so I guess they don't have a sweeper. So they can only have at most one kill spell here, so if we throw two things in front of the Vorinclex, we're guaranteed to not die. So something like this. We'll go to 1. Maybe 2. Yeah. Let's see. Doesn't quite do it, does it? It does gain us some life. So we just don't have enough ammo. We can Zenith Flare the Vorinclex, I suppose. It does suck to, have to blow the Zenith Flare, but I think that's kind of what we have to do. Throw one thing in front of the Orion, throw two things in front of the Vorinclex, and Zenith Flare it up. And hope to draw another one off the top, and hope to dodge them finding really anything at all. So normally I'd love to let damage go through when blocking Vorinclex, but it will just kill us here. I shouldn't block with the flower, I should block with this guy. And don't have a counterspell, or an Epiphany, or an Ultimatum, or really anything at all. Yeah. So we're not strictly dead, but I feel pretty dead. Yeah?
So many painful memories.
Yeah, I don't think there's any outs at this point. Well, that's certainly not an out. Yeah, so we're dead to Tybalt exiling one of the birds. So, that sucks. But again, like, Cycling has a good matchup against Sultai if they don't have the hate cards, and it has a good matchup. It has a good matchup with Sultai if they don't have the hate cards, and it has a bad matchup with Sultai if they do. And they certainly did. They had Nightmare, they had Go Blank, and they drew them in every game, I think. So, what are you gonna do? 0-1. Must be nice. I've been saying a lot of that lately. Okay, no companion from the opponent. Doesn't mean as much as it used to. I would think Is It Dragons is probably the most popular deck without a companion on the ladder. No. It's Gruul. Gruul could be okay. It's just gonna be about drawing Zenith Flare, right? I think I just want to start getting stuff in the graveyard as quickly as possible. Hopefully drawing untapped lands later. Oh, I should have played that on white. Because now I have to play this on blue, basically. Yeah, that was a mistake. Oh, I see, it's Winota. Okay. I think Winota is significantly harder. And it looks like they might have turn 3 Winota on the play. I don't think there are many decks in the format beating that. Okay. Okay, let's get the blocker in play. If they have Winota, then we're basically hosed, no matter what we do. But if they don't, then at least this stems some of the bleeding. Okay, that's almost as bad. Alright. So, let's try to find untapped land and see what happens, I guess. Did it. I think I actually want to get the Fox in play. Getting a Giant Fox on the battlefield could be good. If they have Bone Crusher Giant, you know, which are a standard deck running red, so they do, then this is pretty bad. We would have liked to have this on turn 1. But the fact remains that we're just way behind in this game. And we need something to go right, and that would be getting a big Fox. Stop hovering my Fox. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Holy shit. Okay. Yeah. I guess this is, like, our best shot, right? Actually, Shredded Sails can kill the Chariot, which I probably should have spotted sooner. So I think that's the plan. Just kill the Chariot, hope they're on empty, and then try to take over the board with 1/1s. There's no reason for them not to crew this, so we'll wait for them to do that. No blocks. Ambercleave. What else could you be waiting for here? Okay, okay. I think we're cycling the Stinger. I don't think I want to block with the Rescuer either, so I'm going to attack with it. Definitely need some luck. We need the opponent to flood. Sure. That doesn't have trample, so I think we're okay. So that's 8. Next turn we're attacking for 6. They'll be down to 3. We'll go upstairs, which will put us at effective 19. How much are we taking here? 4, 10, 11, 12, 13. So that's not going to be good enough. So I think we have to block like this. I think we just go slow. I don't think we try to kill them next turn. And this blocks 2 damage for the rest of the game. Whereas we can block an X. Yeah, I think we do this. No. If they do find Winota, this is 1 less trigger. And we can probably, unless we get pretty unlucky, have a steady supply of 1/1s for the rest of the game, too. Alright. Now, they're going to attack for how much? Next turn, if we're lucky, they'll brick, and this will become a 6/6, which we can block, and then they'll be attacking for 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. We can block 2 of that, so we'll take 6, which will put us at -1, but we'll go upstairs. Okay. So I think we can afford to attack with the Rescuer, is what I'm getting at. My math wrong? They have 5 other lands. Oh, yeah, okay, it is a 4/4. Does that change anything? So we'll take 2, 4, 6. I could see the 3 of the land, but I think that's a losing play. Let's just go upstairs and make the math a little easier. So I'm definitely going to do that. So that'll be 7. We're getting in for 5 next turn if we don't block. Which means if we draw a Cycler, then Pyromancer plus the Cycler is winning. We can make 1 block for free, and that's still an out. So let's do that. We'll take our 8 damage here down to 6. And any cycling card in the deck is lethal here. So naturally we don't pull it. We can make 2 tokens by looting with the Alliance. They attack with the Lair, we'll block. We can block a 2/2 with the Pyromancer. We'll be taking 2, 4, 6. So we'll be forced to block with the Rescuer next turn, but again, if we untap... If we make 2 tokens, are we forced to block with the Rescuer? That's the question, right? So we'll block the land, we block 2 2/2s, we take 2, 3, 4. Which is fine. So I think that's the play. Oh, this is explicitly cycling? Oh, shit. Okay, well then that was the wrong play. I thought this was when you drew your second card each turn. Which, it's close, but not quite. And now we're forced to block with the Rescuer, and I think we are legitimately dead. Although they're not attacking with everything? Interesting. 2, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4, 5. We can keep the Rescuer? Okay. So we'll make 2 tokens. It's just not quite enough, is it? Yeah, we're just dead if we do that. Maybe not. If we cycle this into 2 1-mana cyclers, we can cycle twice on their turn. Which I guess is the play. So now we can't go face with this, right? Now we need to kill one of their creatures or we're dead. Actually, we're just dead no matter what. All they have to do is power up the land and we're dead. Oh, there she is. And they still have enough to activate the land and make it a lethal attacker, so... It's pretty brutal. We're just dead. That sucks. Alright, so Yeoman 5 is telling me, get rid of 2 copies of Boon. Sure, you got it. 1 copy of Shredded Sails, which seems interesting. Because it did kill the Chariot and give us a chance in that game. 1 copy of Footfall Crater. Bring in Blazing Volley. Which is not in the sideboard. Okay. And bring in 3 copies of Red Cat Melee, which is also not in the sideboard. Am I missing something? Okay, well, the sideboard is wrong. So we'll need to be a little more creative. Of the cards here, Shredded Sails I think is one that I definitely want. Burning Hand seems at least reasonable. Doesn't cycle though. Like, are we really winning with removal here? With 2 damage worth of removal? Like, it doesn't kill Winota. Probably want Blitz, honestly. Over Burning Hands. And I don't know. I don't think it matters much which other cycling card we take. I'm worried we're going to just draw this Burning Hands and not be able to make any progress, but they're always going to have a creature on the board. It's never going to be that bad. Okay. Flourishing Fox, but not the mana to play it on 1. That's great. This time, I think we do want to get our creatures down first. Blitz is good. No real reason to cycle now. Do it on their turn. Of course, of course. See, if we hadn't had that tap land on one, then we would have been able to save the box. So that's tilting. Hopefully they don't have another. I guess we play this on blue. We'll try to take over the board with the Rescuer. At the very least, we'll get a 1-1 out of it if they have a second Bone Crusher. And they don't really want to play a second Bone Crusher, because it's kind of off-curve. Although it's not off-curve anymore now that they get the treasure. I mean, must be nice, as they say. It's funny, like, starting development actively helps them by making any humans they have non-humans. Okay. So... if they have Winota next turn, we can't really do anything about it. Pyromancer doesn't quite kill Winota either, which blows. I think we just need to find land. Or something relevant. Okay. So now we have the option of startling development into Blitz if they play Winota next turn. Or we can get the Pyromancer down. If they play Winota next turn, it's not that bad for us. If they play Bone Crusher, then we're actively happier to have a Pyromancer on the field than holding up Blitz. I think I'm going to play the Pyromancer here. Blitz kills Winota now. Yeah, wow. Okay. So if they had Winota last turn, they'd probably play it. So maybe they don't have it. Because I really, really want to get the Rescuer down and start cycling with it in play. Alright, I'm going to try it. They have something for 1 mana. So it's probably another Red Cat melee? Now hopefully we draw untapped land and the Blitz is live. No. Alright, so we can either cycle this now, try to draw our land, or cycle it on their turn and get an extra 1-1. Which I think I like more. Do I? Nah. Let's try to hit our land drop. No such luck. So just don't win out on me, bro. Yeah? That's not great either. Man, opponent's draw has been quite good. And now we're left with no cyclers in our hand, which is just what I was afraid of. They did leave us with Zenith Flare, which is interesting. So that screams I don't have Winota, right? Or maybe they just saw, oh, we have 2 kill spells, might as well leave them with both. I think I have to get the Alliance in play. And if you have Winota, you have Winota. But I think we need to make the highest upside play, and that's playing Alliance. If we play defensively here, I think we're just going to lose. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of triggers. Until end of turn, target creature you control gets base power and toughness XX and becomes a giant. So they're threatening to do that for 6, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is that we're out of cyclers. Okay. Yeah. So what's the biggest threat? It's probably Minsk pumping up this Trampler, right? Well, let's just kill it now. And we'll try to get there with Zenith Flares and good top decks, I guess. This is legendary, right? I think I'll kill the 1/1. Because it's going to be really hard to fight through all this extra life. The third improbable alliance. Can we afford to play it? So we've sort of accepted that if the opponent draws Winota, then it's over, right? No matter what. So Zenith Flare is really only protecting us from Winota at this point. We have blockers for everything else. I'm gonna play the Alliance. Chariot. Yeah, that hurts. We're gonna take 4 here. Okay. All right. Hanging in there. So they'll probably use the Bonecrusher Giant to crew the Chariot. Which I think has to be our Zenith Flare target, because we can't let them keep populating the board. We're hanging by a thread. Something like this. Taking 3. If we don't draw another cycler, we're dead anyway, so... Yeah. I would love to play that, but I think it has to be cycled. And of course they have inevitability here, right? Like, they have Winota. It's our responsibility to kill. Really? Wow. God, this sucked. They don't have the red to give everything trample with Kenrith. We can't cycle now that the Spellbinder? Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright. 0-2 with cycling. Truth be told, that matchup feels hard. And I'm a little tilted still about the Sultai match, having the right tech. But, that's why we play the games. See how good these decks actually are. Wow, 91%, jeez. God, I'm sorely tempted to keep this hand. On the draw. I think on the draw we can keep this. Just Turbo Zenith Flare. You wouldn't keep? 2 Zenith Flares are really, really effective against them, though. We get so many looks at another land. Okay, the 3rd Zenith Flare is a little much, I grant you. One lander hurts every time? Yeah, but it hurts so good when it wins. Okay. Yeah, so while they don't have a kill spell available, I'll just play this. They are already at the point where they can Epiphany me. They have ramped well. Hey, Christmas! It is not going well. It's not going well. The Yeoman 5 told me, and by me I mean the internet, that cycling would be a good deck this week. And so far that has not been my experience. What about you? How are you doing, bud? I think I play the Stinger, because if they kill it, it goes to the graveyard. Well, not if they have Shadow's Verdict, I suppose. This is a no Lurrus version, yes. Which I think is right. Christmas can't exist in the same room as you? Am I gonna have to break up a fight? Jeez. They bought Yorion. This is almost certainly an Epiphany. Ugh. Alright, so... I think this is Stinger here. And... cycle now. Maybe represent Mystical Dispute. Yeah, no blocks. So our cycling deck is not doing a very good job of cycling. It must be said. Yeah, so there's the Epiphany and a Heartless Act, because why not? And the attacks, okay. We feel extraordinarily dead here. Yeah, as for the emotes, the original due date for those emotes was yesterday. And then it turned out there was a misunderstanding with the artist. So I explained again what I wanted to him. And then he said he understood, and then showed me the draft today, and there was another misunderstanding. So I think we're probably waiting another few days. And from there, apparently Twitch takes like 48 hours to approve the emotes. So I don't think we're going to see those emotes on Twitch until next week. So that probably went about as well as we could possibly hope for, and it still went terribly. I don't think the flyers are relevant at this point. Let's just start cycling. We need to get stuff in the bin, and we need to cheese them out with Zenith Flare. Alright, fine, if you insist. Are we... I guess we can just go upstairs for 6 again and again and again. That might be our best play, honestly. Alright. Just hope they absolutely brick. You know Sultai, the deck that bricks all the time. Yeah, I don't think we can block here. If they have Epiphany, we might be dead, honestly. I haven't done the math. Yeah, we're definitely dead to Epiphany if they have it. And that attack kind of screams to me that they do. Yeah, that's... Well, that's not Epiphany mana anymore, actually. But if it's land Epiphany? Alright. Upstairs. Just can't find anything to cycle. Okay. I guess we play an alliance. And we're not dead because the Zenith Flare will keep us alive. 4, 7, 9, 10, 11. So yeah, the Zenith Flare will be enough if they don't draw a Counterspell, or an Epiphany, or an Ultimatum, or a Vorinclex, or a Tybalt. Well, a Tybalt they couldn't cast, so at least there's that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sure. That was a game of Magic. Sure, why not? Alright, so in come 2 strokes, in come 2 negates. In comes 1 Burning Hands. Out come the 4 Pyromancers. And 1 Shredded Sails. And, yeah, you know what? We need to have something go right. It's, today has not gone well so far. By the way, that was a one-lander I kept. So I feel vindicated. Some people in chat, and I'm not naming any names, told me not to keep the one-lander. They didn't believe. Do we do it again? This time we don't have the Zenith Flares, but we do have a shitload of Cyclers. I'm gonna do it again. Play this on white. We get so many looks at a land, right? If it was on the play, I wouldn't have kept it. But on the draw, I think we can keep a one-lander here. See? Magic's easy. So the question now then is what color to play the pathway on. If we play red, then it's good for an eventual... It's good for either the Drana Stinger or an eventual Zenith Flare. If we play blue, it's good for an eventual Disdainful Stroke. I don't want to play either creature right now, because this is like the most obvious kill spell of all time. So if that's the case, then let's cycle one thing now and see if it makes our land decision for us. It does not. I have to have faith that we're going to draw blue. I'm going to put this on red, because it's the thing that carries out our proactive plan. And we are playing this deck to be proactive. Yeah, opponent didn't do anything with their mana, so we're certain they have a kill spell. That's a pretty kill spell looking pathway to me. I think go for Blood's worse than Footfall Crater. Another land. Okay, so if we had drawn that earlier, we would have known to play that on blue. I think I'd rather the Stinger live long-term, which means I think I want to play the Valiant Rescuer. Or do I want to just dig super deep to find either a Zenith Flare or a Disdainful Stroke? How relevant is the 1/1 really? Not very. Has the ship sailed on us playing a two-mana creature this game? It is post-board. They're unlikely to have sweepers. Nah, I think I like just getting as deep as possible. And I'm sure there's no way anyone will ever take that out of context. Alright. Maybe next turn when we have the mana to get a lot out of the Stinger, that's when we play it. So if they play Gargaroth here, we have the Burning Hands, which is another reason not to play anything there. They buy Yorion. Okay. I'm gonna cycle one of these. It's just so clunky. Found the blue land, which is excellent. They're not on Ultimatum mana yet. They probably have a counterspell. We're certain they have a kill spell. If they have a counterspell, then we'd rather than play it now. Probably, right? Let's play the Alliance. They don't have a counterspell. Excellent. I'm just going to cycle this. Okay. So, It was at this point in our first game against Sultai that opponent slammed Elspeth's Nightmare, right? And made us super sad. So hopefully they don't do that again. Just Raw Dog and Eorian. That's fine. They are keeping up a kill spell again. They've been religious about that. We drew the Flare. I think here I'm happy to play the Stinger. And I'll cycle this Crater. And we'll hold up Stroke for the Ultimatum. Yep, we knew that was going to happen. It also makes our Zenith Flare bigger. So that's 7 mana. We'll see if they go for their Ultimatum here. If I was in their spot, I would only cast Ultimatum if I had literally nothing better. But that's just not how people play on the ladder. They just slam their Ultimatums. Which might be right. Maybe I'm too conservative with how I play Sultai. Yeah. I'd think harder about it if I had only one Disdainful Stroke, but having two makes the decision easy, I think. Wow. That's fine. Their life total matters more than ours. Alright, thanks for coming out, Christmas. Have fun doing whatever you're doing. Hit me with the host? Thank you, I appreciate that. Omen of the Sea. Sure. So I think at this point I'm fine looting away this Burning Hands. So of course, Disdainful Stroke not great in a counter war, forcing our flare through. Oh. Okay, so maybe I don't want to loot away the Burning Hands. We'll see. I'm definitely gonna loot. The question of what I put in the bin is different. Is interesting. Well, am I gonna loot? Let's see. So we can go upstairs for 8. They'll be down to 9 if we draw any Cycler and they don't have a counterspell, then we win. If they do have a counterspell, then it's kind of disaster. Let's go for Zenith Flare. Alright, so now we win, right? Because now these 1/1s get in. Could they have Dispute? No. No, let's just go. Nice. I was just thinking if there was a reason to cycle the Stinger first. I don't think so. Alright, thank God. 1 and 2 was cycling. See, that was the difference, right? The first Sultai deck had the tech cards, and this one didn't. And we were able to just overwhelm this deck, but we were domed, just completely destroyed by the first one. Alright, 1 and 2. On to the next deck.